Welcome back to Everything All the Time. Tony Boldy's with me. I'm Pat O'Brien of Court McCowan. Who knows where he is?
He's at the beach.
No, he's on a corporate gig somewhere. Probably the first agent or negotiator you ever heard of was Lee Steinberg, who came onto the scene, I believe, with Warren Moon, right, Lee? Was that your first?
Steve Bartkowski back in 1975.
Bartkowski, you're right. And then Warren, and then every big athlete along the way. Lee Steinberg, super agent, joins us. Hi, Lee. How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Say hello to Tony Boldy.
Hey, Lee. Thanks for being here.
The reason Lee is on is, A, we've been friends for 25 years, and B, we've been through a lot together, good and bad, mostly good. And I've watched him on this Ryan Lochte situation at the Olympics all week, on every time he turned on the TV, and he's been the only one that made any sense out of it. So I called him and said, would you come on? What's up with Ryan Lochte?
Well, I think he's gone through 8 of the most miserable public image days I've seen an athlete do in a long time. The Olympics are the transcendent marketing event with thousands of print and electronic journalists sitting there covering every aspect. So it's got an international audience, and it's got a huge American audience that doesn't normally watch these sports. So it has the potential to make someone a household name, and in this case, a household villain. And when he told a story that clearly was a fabrication, he claims he over-exaggerated. Now, you can exaggerate. I don't know how you over-exaggerate. And kept telling the story in various iterations. What happened was the media picked it up, and it became a over and over again virally repeated story that had the tendency to stick in people's minds. Now, maybe the media made too much of it, but it kept running over and over again. And instead of going back to Rio, facing the music, apologizing, making amends, doing something for the people of Rio, he sat in silence. And the only time he broke it was when he told another misleading story. And so he finally, after 5 or 6 days, issued an apology. But he did a devastating interview with Matt Lauer, who acted like a prosecutor and took his story apart. So he had 7 different endorsements between the last Olympics and this, and they totaled $6.2 million. Some of them went away before this Olympics, and now the last ones, all the sponsors have backed away. People think endorsements are divine rights, but they're actually transactions where a sponsor is looking for a transference of positives that will get people to buy the products.
It's the O.J. Simpson rule. A lot of people call and ask you for help, whether it's in negotiating or whether it's for some trouble. People call me and I say, look, admit, apologize, and advance. There's no way in this world, right, Lee, you can get away with anything, especially if you did it. And so I just tell people, go out there, admit it, apologize, and move on. You'll be better off.
Pat, you have a new press that's highly investigative that now exists not only in newspapers but on the internet with dozens of reporters checking and rechecking. So wrap your arms around all the facts so you won't say anything that later gets discredited. And then as fast as you can, get out there and make a statement, apologize to all the relevant constituencies, show you've taken steps to prevent a recurrence, and then the healing can begin. And we don't throw young men on the trash heap of history for one bad action. And with enough time, the American people love the fall of the high and mighty, but they also love the comeback story.
Right.
So over time it fades. Here he's got the problem that we don't follow swimming on a daily basis, so it's not like Kobe Bryant or Ray Lewis where they were able to play every day and time passed.
Now, Lee, is there anything as bad press? Because back in the day, bad press was good press.
No, this is bad press.
Right. This doesn't look like it's going to work in his favor over time.
Well, he doesn't have enough events where he would naturally be seen in the public eye that would be positive coming. because we don't normally focus a lot, and I'm quite sure he's going to get a ban by the USOC for some period of time, so he won't even be able to swim competitively. But we don't have a lot of opportunities as you would if you were a team sport athlete to keep playing 162 games a year, and then 2 years later we have positive images to overlay these negatives.
Now, doesn't the public forget they have a short attention span, and over time he might be able to come back, and they'll remember his name but not what he did, or is this just too bad?
Well, yes, but I think the fact when you dye your hair blonde and you look like a killer from a James Bond movie,
right,
and you so distinctively have done this, the other damage done is to the other Olympians. Now you got people who spent their entire career, their whole life for this event, and the whole week at track and field, it wasn't track and field, it was Ryan Lochte.
Right. Yeah, it should have been Usain Bolt. I came back and I did it right. You know that. And, people come up to me almost every day. We love your story. We're glad you're okay. And I never lost a job or anything. So, Lee Steinberg is our guest. Hey, Lee, football season's coming up. What do you do during? You got so many clients. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
The irony of the salary cap is that it was designed to create parity, and yet, inevitably you see the same teams, New England, the Denver Broncos, the Green Bay Packers,
Baltimore,
the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, the same teams have superior organizations, so they win. What I do is to go to games. I'll go visit a visiting team or a home team on a Saturday night, take a player out to dinner, go to the game the next day, see the players afterwards, take the home team players out to dinner. And then Sunday night is like an episode of ER, because a football game is like a traffic accident. So the injuries pile up. I take out my physician's desk reference, try to figure out which of the 6 parts of the body to break down got damaged that week, and then try to give some limited medical advice. And you're there to console the players that are not doing so well, try to buck up their spirit. I get to go into the losing locker room. The younger lawyers get to go in the winning locker room. And you go for where the need is. And this year we have the emergence of Paxton Lynch, and what's amazing is how focused people are on these preseason games, and trying to judge a player's performance in preseason.
I didn't even watch them.
Pat, they've got 3 strings going in. So if you got Dak Prescott, who's the big hit of the summer, playing with the first string Dallas Cowboy offensive line, and you're judging him against Jared Goff, who's playing with a much inferior Rams, and Jared Goff's just learning how to play. In the old days, we used to judge a quarterback after 3 years, and now we're judging him after 3 games.
Poor Goff. He was being judged before they opened the gates at the Coliseum.
This is because of the salary cap, because you don't have enough money at one position to have a talented veteran and a highly paid rookie behind it. So we push these players, out, and of course I worry about the concussion specter and
it's a big deal,
and the safety of the players, because I didn't sign up to make money from people who might get dementia. That's not my true life arc.
And where's that line when how do you judge that line when you've pushed them past what they're? I mean, I know they're willing to do anything. So where do you guys pull the plug?
Well, the problem is once a player is in the game, they have led a life of denial.
Correct.
They have been carefully acculturated to believe that, broken arm play, dizzy play, they will play under any circumstances. Right. So the only people that are cautionary notes of restraint are me, the parents, the girlfriend or wife, and then the rest of the world this player is in is all telling him, don't worry about long-term health. Worry about short-term
Right.
display.
Income, yeah.
Display.
Right.
Right.
You know, Vince Lombardi used to say, I love the players that run through brick walls for me. He said, however, the one player who runs around the brick wall, that's my quarterback. When are we gonna, before I let you go, when are we going to see you on Ballers? How true is that series?
You know, that's a unique subculture that exists in football, but I don't have clients like that.
Okay, I'm sure you don't.
We and they wouldn't appeal to that. I mean, you know, honestly, back in the '80s, yes, but the last time I saw players cavorting with nudes on a yacht, you know, with heavy doses of cocaine, was the 1980s.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a stereotype.
By the way, mid-'80s. Lee Steinberg, you're great. I'll see you during the football season. Thank you so much for coming on the show, okay?
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you all.
All right, there he goes, Lee Steinberg. And I'll tell you, talk about an agent with power.
Right.
He's got Ballers, by the way. Have you watched it?
I haven't.
Ballers is a football show that's Dwayne Johnson's the lead. And it's about what he talked about. It's about all these kind of old school thinking players. Anyway, Lee is a great guest and a great guy. We'll be back to wrap things up in a moment.